Good evening to all, one and all. I am LG Kazrekar here on behalf of FMJPI, which is one of the largest and biggest network dedicated only to facility management industry with vision and mission on mind, which Mr. Nilesh Barot has initiated somewhere in 2015. Today, FMJPI represents entire facility management industry and supporting industries people across the India for end-to-end solution on any kind of requirements related to facility management industry. Since the inception, FMJPI role is to connect the missing dots, and in 5 years they have achieved goal successfully. Hats up to the team of FMJPI, especially Mr. Nilesh Barot and his associates for their creative acts. Today's webinar has been arranged by the FMJPI. Myself, I am LG Kazrekar, retired Provident Fund Commissioner from Mumbai, and is a member of the Bar Council and presently associated with the Messrs. Akar Services situated in Borivali, and we are providing the labor law services to all establishment needy peoples and help to the employees working in the industries for providing them the better services for their withdrawal, nominations, pensions, etc. Today's agenda is the recent circulars and facilities provided by the EPFO, and second agenda is new labor codes which is coming 2019, which is forthcoming. First we will see the recent circulars. You are aware that EPFindia.com, if you go to the EPFindia.com, the EPFO head office and regional offices frequently arranging the seminars, live seminars to facilitate the establishment as well as members. And if you see the EPFO in EPFindia.com office circulars, the lot of more than 100 seminars have been arranged during 2020-21 during the pandemic period to associate and facilitate with even international workers and the other countries which are so far not brought under the purview of the social security agreements. So likewise, this is one of the seminar, and I will discuss about some circulars issued by the EPFO during last 3-4 months. This head office, EPF organization head office, New Delhi, has issued a circular on 1st February 2021 for deployment of electronic facility at employers interface of EPFO unified portal for principal employers to view EPF compliances of their contractors and contract workers. This is the very good steps. It is, although it is somehow not beneficial to the contractors, but it is beneficial to the workers and the principal employers to verify the compliance made by their contractors. Employers engaging employees by or through contractors can add the details of the contract amount, employees at employers interface of unified portal. It is now mandatory. It is the circular issued on 2nd February. It is mandatory to all the principal employers except contractors. Principal employers has to upload the details of their contracts awarded to the and employees engaged through the these contractors. Principal employer can log in and can give employee-wise remittances made through ECR for any wage month during the tenure of contract. Then principal employer can verify his shares of contribution, that is 13% of his employer's contribution, whether it has been paid by the contractor or not. This has been issued to increase provisions under section 8A. This has been issued with reference to provision under section 8A, read with para 30, 32 of the EPF and MP Act 1952. Para 32 says payment of contract contribution by employer including employees engaged through contractors. The contractor shall recover the contribution and shall pay to the principal employer. But since 2006, the EPFO has allowed the independent coverage under the EPF and MP Act to the contractors. So here it is not possible. Whatever employer gives the bill, the principal, whatever contractor submits his bill according to the agreement, terms of agreement, which includes the employee share of contribution, ESI contribution, professional tax, and other his commission, etc. So principal employer is presently not deducting any PF contribution from the bills payable to the principal employer, but it is the responsibility of the contractors to enroll all his employees engaged with particular principal employer and pay it to the Provident Fund department along with every month ECR. So although the para 33 of the EPF Act, it says it shall be responsibility of the principal employer to pay both the share of contribution. Para 32 says recovery of members' shares of contribution from the wages of the members, contrary to the Act. Regional commissioners have been instructed to conduct webinars with major establishment engaging services of the contract employees. This 17-page circular dated 1st February 2021 for uploading the contract details, I request each and every participant of this, you may be a employer, principal employer, contractor, employee or consultant, service provider, you download this 17 pages circular where EPFO has provided the how to upload your contract details on the EPF login through EPF login. In the login of contractors establishment, Sub-menu principal employer can see contract period, amount, work order, etc. If wrong if wrong information is uploaded, there is a provision to delete it. Facility for adding new contractors and new employees. Principal employer can view the same. So this is the most important circular. Now the inspectors and of the EPFO and the principal employer, they will verify the compliance reported by the contractors and necessary action if there is a deviation in the or contract amount is more and contribution is paid very less, there will be a inquiry under section 7A of the act, and it has to be faced by the contractors, those who are independently covered under the act. Otherwise, it is the liability of the principal employer to pay the contribution of both the share. This is one important circular, and another one is you are aware the Atmanirbhar Bharat Rozgar Yojana, Ministry of Labor, as per their announcement, to increase the new employment opportunities, have circulated circular dated 31st December 2020 as a part of 3.0 package for creation of new employment during the COVID recovery phase, providing assistance to the employees of establishment registered with EPFO to recruit persons, including re-employment. In that case, this scheme has commenced from 1st October 2020, and for its base wage period is taken as September 2020. If any establishment engaging 50 employees, they have to recruit minimum 2 employees to get the benefit under this Atmanirbhar Yojana. This Atmanirbhar Yojana is providing 12% contribution of employees and 12% employer share will be waived. It will be borne by the government. But in this case, employee should be newly joined or rejoined employee, and this will benefit will be 12% plus 12%, 24% benefits will be provided to the employer and employees for tenure of 24 months, 2 years, that is up to September 2023. But in this case, wherever the employer is taking benefit under the Atmanirbhar Yojana, their employees will not be able to withdraw their contribution till completion of 2 years tenure period. Those employees drawing less than 15,000 are only eligible under this scheme. However, those who are availing the benefits under PMPRY scheme or PMRPY 2016 scheme, no benefits under this scheme is available to them. This is a sort of subsidy to the employer and employee for encouraging the employment. The establishment where 1,000 employees are employed, less than 1,000, they will get 12% employee share plus 12% employer share. However, where the number of employees are more, establishment engages 1,000 and above employees, such establishment will get the benefit of only 12% as employees share. For this, declaration has to be submitted electronically. This uploading the benefit under this scheme is available only up to June 30th June 2021, and benefit will be provided till next 2 years. Then third one is you must have heard that TDS on interest earned over and above rupees 2,000 2,50,000 and above on Provident Fund balance. It has been announced, but so far the circular has not been issued, or notification, gazette notification has not been issued by the EPFO so far, because this financial year 2020-21 has been recently over, and interest for this 2020-21 will be paid by September, or as soon as rate of interest is declared for 2020-21. However, from the settlement, if the amount of interest is credited is more than 2,50,000, TDS will be deducted. But so far circular has not been issued. One more circular has been issued on 2nd March 2021 by the EPFO to arrange monthly pension Adalat EPS 1995. Many workers retired or who are getting pensions, they have to submit the life certificate every November, and it has been now made online submission of life certificate. So it is many members are facing the difficulties in getting their pension because of non-uploading of the life certificate. So, and even pensioners whose claims are during this pandemic, there are a lot of deaths occurred across the India, and members and their family members and establishments have submitted the Form 20, Form 19, Form 20, Form 10D and 5IF for their benefits, but and it has been now it is made by the EPFO to submit the online application in case of withdrawal, but however the death claims are being accepted by all the EPFO offices, but that too some offices are not even accepting and asking them to send the claims through post, and such claims because of 50% because of 50% of staff working in the offices, those claims are not being attended for month or 2 months, 3 months even, and even after lodging the complaints through EPF IGMS, these claims are being attended. So this circular is basically for arranging monthly pension adalat by the regional PF Commissioner number 1 or his subordinate at the level of regional PF Commissioner 2 to facilitate the pensioners and whose claims have not been, pension claims have not been settled. So this you should aware it, and any members comes to you, or they may approach to the nearest PF office to ask for the adalat, or if they have not started, they will start it once you visit that, or you may upload the grievance through for arranging this adalat every month. One more circular recently issued on 20th March 2021 regarding higher grant of higher pension. The matter which was as per Supreme Court orders dated, which was circulated on 23rd March 2017, and many people across the India who retired and getting a meager amount of pension around 2000 or 2500 have applied for the grant of higher pension, but the matter was again litigated in the Supreme Court, and the Kerala High Court was kept in abeyance by the Supreme Court, and the matter is still pending. More than 20,000, 25,000 pensioners have already been granted higher pension according to their basic wages, exceeding 1,000, 15,000 and above. I have seen one pensioner has been getting 34,000 pension per month. At the time of his settlement, pension, revision of pension, he has paid 17 lakhs rupees to the EPFO, and he got arrears of pension of around 15 lakhs as against his remittance of 17 lakhs. And now every month he is getting pension of rupees 34,000. But since this matter is still going on in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has that matter was kept for hearing on 23rd March 2021, and day-to-day hearing was supposed to take place. But however, thereafter, during even lapse of 15-20 days, there is no progress in the case. So whether EPFO is going to give the higher pension or not, it is in the still in abeyance, and pensioners are eagerly waiting for the decision. Now the EPFO has on 5th March 21 has issued one more circular to launch web facility for registering and processing and monitoring of complaints and complaints. So wherever the employee or employer, most probably aggrieved employee will file a complaint against non-enrollment, non-give extension of PF benefit or non-coverage, etc. Those complaints, the responsibility is cast upon the regional offices to upload the receipted grievance on this portal, and after taking the zonal permission from the zonal offices, the inquiry against the employer will be initiated for this resolving the complaints. So it is I advise all the participants to take care of the enrollment of memberships, so they should not face any such unpleasant actions from the EPFO. And this after resolving these complaints, it is the responsibility of the regional PF commissioner to upload the outcome of the complaint and inquiry conducted thereupon, and whether this purpose has been really solved or not. It will be verified by the head office of the EPFO. Now, this as I said, EPFO is arranging seminars to other countries to get the more social security agreements with the foreign countries. So there is a circular on the EPFO epfindia.com office circulars. So there are seminars are organized on 21st April 2021. That is with webinar with the countries Canada, Chile, Singapore, then Seoul, Tokyo, Sydney, Canada, United Nations, and Brazil, etc. All these countries. This anybody interested, they can register their name and they can view the what kind of this participant will be from that respective countries, and it is 1.5 hour seminar will be there. So I request anybody want to participate, they can participate it. The next agenda is regarding India's new labor codes prepared for all of you must be aware that the new labor code is likely to come, and these books on that new labor code is available in the market also. Around 27 labor codes have been clubbed together. Then agenda is what is the background, what is changing, impact on wage definition, workforce categorization, offenses and penalties, way forward. This background is that after independence, there are around 28 labor acts have been enacted to give the facility to the workers and employees. So these are the very vast and you people or nobody will read each and every act, what is the benefits given under this each and every act. Probably mostly this Provident Fund, ESI, Labor Welfare Fund, and professional tax and other, these are the labor oriented, and in case of factory industrial dispute act. So these all labor codes, we will see that consolidated 29 existing legislation, then uniformity in definition, emphasis on use of technology, accountability and transparency, effective enforcement, ease of implementation. These are the important points, because in every under every act there is a definitions are different. Employees definitions, employer definitions are different. So for this all these acts, in this case, first the Code on Wages 19. In that Code of Wages 19, the Payment of Wages Act 1936, Minimum Wages Act 1948, Payment of Bonus Act 1965, and Equal Remuneration Act 1976 have been clubbed together. These 4 acts have been clubbed together. Then second legislation is the Code on Social Security 2020. Under this act, the Employees State Insurance Act 1948, Employees Provident Fund Act 1952, Employees Exchange Compulsory Notification of Vacancies Act 1959, then Maternity Benefits 1961, Payment of Gratuity Act 1972, the Senior Workers Welfare Fund 1981, the Building and Other Contractors Workers Welfare Cess Act 1956, the Unrecognized Workers Social Security Act 2008. These 8 acts have been clubbed together. This falls as a social benefit to the employees, which will be provided by the employer. First one, we have seen that this is only wage code. Second one is the Social Security, PF, PSI and all this benefit to the employee. Third legislation is the Industrial Relations Code 2020. Under this code, the Trade Union Act 1926, the Industrial Employees Standing Orders Act 1946, and the Industrial Dispute Act 1947 have been clubbed together. These are the acts which are useful to the establishment as well as to the workers to fight their grievance in the court of law. And fourth important and not but least important act is the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020. Under this act, the Factories Act 1948, the Mines Act 1952, the Dock Workers Safety, Health and Welfare Act 1986, the Building and Other Construction Workers Regulation Employment and Conditions Service 1996, the Plantation Labor Act 1951, the Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act 1970, the Interstate Migrant Workers Regulation and Employment and Conditions Service 1979, the Working Journalist and Other Newspaper Employment Conditions of Service and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1955, the Working Journalist Fixation of Rates of Wages, etc. Wage Act 1958, the Motor Transport Workers Act 1961, the Self-Promotion Employees Condition of Service 1976, the BD and Cigar Workers Conditions of Employment 1966, and Cine Workers and Cinema Theatres Workers Act 1981. These acts have been clubbed under the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020. So the employees will get the justice from the employer, and employer has to what category of safety to the employees is to be provided by the employer to the employer workers in their respective businesses is this is the fourth act. So this is good steps taken by the government of India, and the individual state have been directed to form the rules. So far, hardly few states have formed the rules under these codes. So that's why the implementation of this under this acts is being delayed. This polling question from your side will be, what in your view will be the effect of the change in the labor codes to your business? The financial implications, need for process change, relying salary structure, all above. Don't know. It has to be, it will come to know each and every persons, and those who are businessmen, establishments, practitioners, or the consultants, they have to go through all these acts before it starts implementing. So otherwise you have to be very forced to work under this and implement once the implementation is started. What are the silent features? We will see what are the silent features under this code. Code on wage applies to all establishment, employees and employers as defined unless specifically exempt in the code. Covers all the employees including managerial cadres. Earlier only laborers will get the benefit, the official staff, they will not get, the clerical staff and higher managers and levels and directors, they are not getting the benefit. So here all the employees are covered. Wage definition will be standardized. State government minimum wages rates to be aligned to national floor wages. If you see the minimum wages of each state, there is a large deficiencies and gap between the wages. Need to meet wage payment dates and prescribe. Here the date of wage payment will be prescribed. Recoveries from wages specified with monthly recovery cap at 50%. Not more than 50% of deductions will be allowed from the wages. Settlement time of dues in case of resignation, dismissal, shorten. Here the presently some establishments are not making the full and final settlements months together, and it is pending, and it creates the problem in payment of provident fund, ESI, and other dues also, because of change of month and change of even financial year. So this will be wiped out. Time for preferring claims extended. So time for payment, claiming, submitting claim will be extended. Role of inspectors widen to include facilitation functions. Penalties and prosecution enhanced. These are the silent features under the wage code. Then code of social security. There will be coverage broaden to the include gig platform workers, fixed term employees, and those in the unorganized sector with the organized sector. Existing scheme valid for a period of 1 year after effective date. To extend the same is not contradictory to provisions of the code. This scheme will be valid for 1 year, and if it is not adjustable, or it is totally contradictory to the earlier acts or provisions, then it will be some amendments will be made. Monetary threshold to be brought in through schemes notification. Some limits will be prescribed in every scheme. Period of limitation introduced. Nowadays, for Provident Fund, there is no limitation, so that limitation will be also provided. No specific reference to international workers except to be introduced under this scheme. This some provisions will be specifically made against the international workers also. State penalties and prosecution provisions provided for. So for implementation for evasion of any terms and conditions of these rules and regulations, the penalties will be enhanced. We will see the area, which area will be the impact of this new codes. Definition of wages. Uniform and wider definition as wages as compared as definition under existing regulations. This under change in coverage of employees for ESI, payment of bonus, the provident fund, etc. For payment of bonus, impact on PF and gratuity contributions will be more. Then provident fund, PF changes in definition of wage. Gratuity change in definition of wage, extending gratuity benefits to fixed term employees. Likely increase in the quantum of gratuity. New inclusions in the definition. Retrospective impact. Individuals on fixed term employment entitled to gratuity benefits under the code on pro rata basis in addition to regular eligible employees. Then overtime, employees covered under the scheduled employment alone are eligible for overtime. The employees in supervisory and managerial role will be also entitled for overtime wages. Details rules are awaited. So the earlier overtime was not paid to the clerical or higher cadre, managerial level, and supervisors level employees. So this will be beneficial. Presently, there is no specific social security scheme for the gig platform workers. The government to introduce a scheme enabling such employees to be eligible for social security benefits. Aggregators will be required to contribute towards such scheme. So all this unorganized sector will be brought into the purview of under these acts. So they will be benefited. Then payment of wages ceiling of rupees 20,000 per month has been removed. The impact on settlement timelines, capping of deductions from wage, etc. the silent features of industrial relations code. Limit of workers enhanced from 1000 to 300 for applicability of standing orders. Construction workers committee, if 100 or more workers are engaged and ordered by appropriate government. Grievance redressal committee to complete it proceeding within 30 days or receipt of application. Prohibits employer, workers and trade unions from committing any unfair labor practices such as restricting workers from forming trade unions, coercing workers to join trade unions, threatening workers, establishing employer sponsored trade union, etc. Increase in retrenchment cost. Additional compensation towards reskilling fund, retrenchment compensation, etc. has to be formed, will be employer has to form this fund. Preference to retrench workers for re-employment within 1 year. Notice of strike, lockout extended to all industries. Additional ground for strike, mass leave. Prior approval of government. Layoff, retrenchment, closure where 300 or more workers, factory, mine, plantation. So prior approval of government is required for layoff, retrenchment, closure, etc. The introduction of concept of negotiating union. So all these unions, they should negotiate properly to benefit their workers. The occupational and safety, this is the fourth act, this is silent features. The occupational safety, health and working conditions. Single registration for all establishment. Working hours 8 hours with a spread of 48 hours as usual. Presently 48 hours maximum. So some are telling employee has to, some WhatsApp messages are coming, employee has to work 12 hours. It is not like that. In a weekly they have to work only 48 hours as per rules. Issuance of appointment letter, this is and more important. Issuance of appointment letter to the employers is mandatory. Nowadays there is a practice in factories and establishment, they never issue the any appointment letter, and this phase to the employee once he is retrenched or terminated, or even after resignation also, whether he was appointed in the establishment. So it is now mandatory to issue the appointment letter. Prohibition of engaged contract labor in core activities. Main activities, establishment will not allow to engage the workers in the contract workers in the main activities of the establishment. Mandatory free health checkup for below categories who has attained the age of 45 years for prescribed industries, factory, mine, plantation, and workers who are engaged in the hazardous process mines. A list of benefits for interstate migrant workers has been extended. The flexibility of employment of women. Constitution of safety committee and appointment of safety officer in prescribed industries. Presently it is there, but some establishment may be added and compelled to appoint the safety officers. Constitution of National Occupational Safety and Health Advisory Board for monitoring the implementation of the code. This will be benefited to the employees or workers union to approach them if the employer is not providing the safety facilities to the employees. I have seen one establishment, they are they are engaged in the cashew factory, and the gunny bags containing the boiled cashews are being loaded in the lorries in the gunny bags, and as gunny bags employees workers are picking up the gunny bags, and subsequently such workers have been poisoned on their feet, and even employer has not bothered to provide the safety measure facilities to such employees. So such employees can approach to this board and file their grievance. What will be the impact on the core activity? Introduction of concept of core activity. It is mandatory to issue appointment letter, leave encashment, reduction in time limit to be eligible for leave and wages. Leave can be demanded for encashment while in service also. Some employees are not availing the leave, so they can ask for the encashment. Workers who worked for 180 days or more in the calendar year will be entitled for leave with wages. Worker shall be entitled on his demand for encashment of leave at the end of the calendar year. Where the leaves exceeds 30 days, workers shall be entitled to encash the exceeded leave. The reskilling fund, the introduction of new concept of reskilling fund, there will be impact on the employer and the establishment. Overall increase in the workers' retrenchment compensation. In addition to existing retrenchment compensation, 15 days wage to be contributed to reskill fund maintained with the government within 10 days of retrenchment. If the employee is retrenched, this additional contribution, this will be the impact on the employer to bear this additional fund to be created by the government. So for that, rules are being framed. We will see the definition of wage. Definition of means includes all remuneration, whether by way of salaries, allowances, or otherwise expressed in terms of money or capable of being so expressed, which would in terms of employment express or implied where fulfilled be payable to a person employed in respect of his employment and includes basic pay, dearness allowances and retaining allowances. The statutory bonus, these are specified inclusions. What are included in the wages is statutory bonus payable but not forming part of remuneration, value of house accommodation and utilities. Then employer contribution to provident fund, pension together with the accretion, conveyance allowances or value of travelling concession, sum paid to defray special expenses due to nature of work, house rent allowances, remuneration payable under any award, settlement, any overtime allowances, any commission payable, any gratuity payable on termination, any retrenchment compensation benefit payable, ex gratia payment, etc. These will be included in the definition of wages, where the aggregate and specified inclusions as highlighted, there are some certain conditional inclusions. Exceeds one half of such other notified percentage of all remuneration calculated under this clause. Amount of which exceeds such one half or other percent so notified shall be deemed as remuneration and shall accordingly be added under the clause wages, conveyance value of travel, concession, house rent allowance, remuneration payable under reward, settlement or overtime allowances shall be taken for computation of wage for the purpose of equal wages to all genders. Now, here are some example definition of wages. If the wage is fixed, gross wages is 25,000, basic is kept as 8,000, HRA will be 50%, maximum 50%, 4,000, DA will be 1,000, medical 3,000, then commission 4,000, conveyance 5,000, altogether 25,000. Then in this case, this for provident fund benefit, this basic, then basic, DA, medical, conveyance will be added. So out of 25,000, on 13,000 salary, provident fund contribution will attract. ESI will attract on 25,000. Here one chart is given in case of CTC. CTC is kept for 15 lakhs per annum. In that case, the pay is kept as 40% of the CTC. So that is 4,80,000. House rent allowances 40%, 1,92,000. Leave travel allowance 1 lakh. Then fuel reimbursement 1,20,000. PF contribution 57,600. Then NPS, new pension scheme, is 48,000. Telephone reimbursement 24,000. Sodaxo meal vouchers 26,000. The gratuity 23,000. So gratuity special allowance will be 1,28,000. Variable pay bonus 3 lakhs. Total wages to be considered for gratuity in this case, out of 15 lakhs CTC, 4,80,000 will be considered for calculation of gratuity, and accordingly employer has to make the provisions. So provision for gratuity in their balance sheet, and they have to create the fund, gratuity fund. So here is the increase in the payment of gratuity. Earlier only 40, in this case only 40,000 would have been considered for calculation of gratuity. Now under this new calculations, 72,400 will be considered for calculation of gratuity. So naturally gratuity amount will be increased. Accordingly, the provident fund contribution, earlier it was as against 15 lakh salary and 4,80,000 annual basic, only 57,600 was the provident fund contribution, whereas as per new calculation it will be 1,04,375, is a more than 90% increase in the provident fund contribution. This will has to bear by the establishment and the companies. So accordingly, the after implementation of this new code and formation by the rule formation by the state governments, this will be central government will announce the implementation date for this all this act. So employer should be ready for to bearing this impact on their business. So all the returners, consultants, payroll maintenance establishment and advisors uh, are advised to take care of in well in advance to form this how the way pay scale has to be designed as per the guidelines mentioned in this new code. Another polling questions: what to do? What do you do believe could be impact on change in definition of wages? Significant impact, financial impact, uh, minimal financial impact, no impact, not assess. That you have to assess the impact, get the calculation, offenses and penalties. General non-compliance. For non-compliance, such an offense, maintenance, improper maintenance of record, failure to submit a draft standing order within a prescribed time limit, non-compliance, contravention of other provisions or rules, fine from 10,000 to 10 lakhs. Second offense, for second and subsequent default, fine up to rupees 20 lakhs or imprisonment for 6 months or both. Non-compoundable, failure to pay deposit contribution deducted from employees' wages, fine of rupees 1 lakh. In addition to imprisonment for a term ranging between 1 to 3 years. Officer in default, factory, in case of factory occupier, mine owners, agents, manager. In case of establishment, the person who has ultimate control over the affairs of the establishment. Employer in other cases. The areas that are critical for establishment transition smoothly from the existing law to the new legislation with optimal efficiency. So, which are the areas? Understand the wage and quantify the financial impact. Align compensation structure. Align higher policies. Workforce categorization. Being compliant. Identify and understand the change in compliance requirements, timelines, map the current compliance process, identify areas of change and realign the internal process to meet the compliance requirements under the code. So everyone has to commence the journey now, understanding of the implications, better preparedness, smooth transition. So I think this is the basic information only. You can get the books available in the market on this new labor code and go through the detailed amendments. Thank you for listening me for this webinar. Whatever your questions you may upload on the FMJPI portal. I thanks to Mr. Barot, Nilesh Barot and team of FMJPI for arranging and giving me an opportunity to place some information before all of you. Thanks.